Yeah, I would say that was a pretty good way to start it off. We're going to be moving into finally one of the ranked modes. I know you've been waiting all day for this, Splat Zones. So talk about Splat Zones for us.
Yeah, so Splat Zones is a really good transition from Turf War for like a new player, a spectator experience. Simply because the game type that we just watched was a game type about controlling more of the map via paint, covering more of the map, and the rank mode of Splat Zones is similar in nature. While it isn't the whole map that you have to control, there is one hill in the center, kind of like a zone in the center of the map, that when painted gets you points. And continuous control of that zone in a stretch is what you're rated on. Now, as we'll see in these rank modes in Splatoon, unlike a lot of other competitive shooters that kind of have like a grand total of your objective control, Splatoon instead will give you score based on your single best push, right? So in the other game modes, we'll see that you take an objective to the opponent's base, and how close you get that objective is your score. So once you get to a certain point, that's it. Whereas in Splat Zones, you want to control the zone for a certain stretch. And we'll get to see that soon. However, right now, we're still waiting for some bracket matches to finish, but I don't know if you want to bring up the brackets. Blake, who's running the stream, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the matches that have gone down so far. I see that
Deadbeat and Dank & Co. still going on right now. Dank & Co. taking a game right now. So Deadbeat is our #1 seed here at the tournament. They're the favorites to win. Dank & Co., a team that hasn't been around as long, but features a lot of strong single players. That match still going on. SpeedRunsLive did take a 3-0 victory over First Strike, Lost Faction. Took a 3-0 over Ink Delta there. Stardust gets the win over High Tide Era. Deep Blues over Wink Nation. We saw In Control Yami over Get Kraken. Mutebot and Got Kraken still going on, as well as Black Paper and Kairos. And all of those teams are still playing in the Turf War. These next matches that we'll be seeing will all be Splat Zones.
Right. Yeah, that's it's curious that one of the few matches that wasn't a 3-0 was the match which is pretty much the highest seed and the lowest seed in the tournament. Yeah. It's just that's just the kind of thing that happens. Oh, and as I say that, it goes 3-1 to Deadbeats.
3-1, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that when I talk to Pangit about that later, Pangit being a member of Deadbeats, will have some hilarious story about how they lost that match. Definitely a lot of good attitudes there. But in that case, the SRL versus Deadbeat match is ready. So I think that it's about time that we go into the team spotlights.
So SRL, basically, we're just pretty much all friends from the speedrunning community before Splatoon existed. We just kind of played together when the game came out, and I believe a couple months into, after, the first tournament, we were just like, hey, we should make a team and start playing this competitively. So we just kind of got together, and I guess now we're here. We're one of the only few teams left from 2015 that's still together. So pretty much all our original players, and we're still going strong. It means a lot to us to win the tournament. I think a part of it being is because this tournament had Turf War in it. And I don't think a lot of people know this, but we're actually really good at Turf War too, not just Rainmaker. And I do feel like we put a lot of work into all the modes rather than just the 3 that most tournaments have. So for us to win, that would be it would just be just pretty much a strong showing of what we put into all of the modes rather than just the big 3 that's seeing in tournaments. And as well as again, we're all friends, we play together, so it'd just be proof that if we did win, you can win even if it's with your friends, not necessarily just getting the best players together and hoping for the best.
Got Blaster.
Nice.
Got Andy.
Nice.
There's one guys, you guys.
Got 3. Oh.
Nice.
Yo.
Nice.
Oh my god.
That was dope, bro.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a fun fight.
Why will our team win? Well, we're going to win because I feel like we have a strong grasp on pretty much how each mode works. We know how to push things objectively we know how to push the objective well, and I just feel like we have really good synergy together. Again, we've been playing since 2015. We know how every one of us works, and we know how to just pretty much set everything together on each map and make a strong push when necessary.
So you may recognize a couple names from SRL, Tofu and Tudos being Diddy Kong Racing and Donkey Kong 64 speedrunners, respectively. But this is a team that's been around for a while. Tudos did a great job in that interview talking about just, how long they've been together. They've talked about, they've got some big victories. A patched up SpeedRunsLive team won Squidstorm 2016, actually. And yeah, this is a team that, although they are known for their Rainmaker strats, this is a team with very solid fundamentals.
Yeah, I mean, what you say about Rainmaker, it's kind of unfortunate for them that Rainmaker isn't until grand finals, because they have to fight Deadbeats right away, which is like the top seed, and Rainmaker is kind of their thing. So it kind of makes me, if they lose this, it kind of makes me sad that we won't be able to see the Rainmaker shenanigans. That being said, the kind of almost like a meme at this point with SRL is that because they're speedrunners, they're really, really good at Rainmaker. Because Rainmaker is a game mode where you pick up an objective and you physically carry it towards the enemy base. And they just have all kinds of crazy strats and crazy movement and all these little things of just running the ball ridiculously fast. You know what I mean? It's like it's like the Harlem Globetrotters play football. But and even though, however, we kind of talked about this last week, even though this game mode is going to be similar to the Turf War, and there's no objective to pick up and take. They still do have some pretty significant prowess, I guess we could say, of taking the map quickly, right? So this is a Splat Zones game mode. It's a game about control of a specific area. The way that you typically do this is you fight in the center of the map, you win the engagement, and then you take the appropriate parts of the map to lock down some control and force the enemy team to come take you on. SRL, because they do have the good control and the good movement, and they're able to kind of get tasks done quickly, I guess you could say. They do have that potential to, if they win an engagement, just instantly they're able to kind of take the whole map and all of a sudden just completely dominate the map quickly. So even if they don't win all their engagements, if they play to their strengths when they do win their engagements, they can take more control if they do what they practice.
Right, the fundamentals of ink control that you saw there in Turf War, I mean, they carry over to everything. Ink control is every map, every mode. But we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit now about their opponents, our 1 seed Deadbeats. But first, we're going to go ahead and show you a spotlight on Deadbeats.
How would I define Deadbeat? Well, I'll say that we're just a group of people who really enjoy playing against high-level competition, and that we're focused on our goal of improving and winning, but we can also have fun and relax at the same time. I feel that that's a great balance a team should have. We formed around 5 months ago with just the intent of being a pickup team for Japanese tournaments. We all had experience with other teams before forming Deadbeat. I never expected it to become an actual team, but as we played and practiced with each other, we just started to realize that if we stayed together, we could become a very strong team moving forward. Winning the U.S. Inkling Open would mean a lot to us, especially since there's plenty of teams who've been practicing and preparing for this tournament ever since it's been announced. We've practiced and prepared a decent amount, I would say, and it would just be great to have our time and effort put into this pay off. Not only that, but this is probably one of the largest tournaments I've ever seen in Western Splatoon, and for good reason. The winning team gets a trip to Los Angeles for E3, which I'm sure most people would agree is definitely a sick prize. It's likely one of the largest prizes I've ever seen in Western Splatoon, and I'm glad that the game, especially after 2 years since its release, has received this kind of attention. being able to win the tournament and go on that paid trip to hang out with my teammates and just have a good time all around sounds amazing. I'm sure many teams would love to have the opportunity to play for that prize, and I'm just glad that we do. Why are we going to win? Well, we're going to win because not only are each of us strong individually, but we've also practiced and discussed strategy to turn our solid individual skill into great teamwork. I trust my team's decision-making ability and our ability to pick each other up whenever someone makes a mistake. We help each other out, really. Whether it be through communication, offering protection, or even painting walls and paths for each other. I feel we just constantly put a lot of pressure on the opposing team, which wears on their defense and offense, allowing us to establish map control as the game progresses.
So from top to bottom, Power, Tim, Penget, Hexen, this team is absolutely stacked. They have multiple weapons on multiple levels. This is definitely the team to beat. I know you've teamed with a couple of these players. Go ahead and tell me what makes them so terrifying.
Yeah, sure. One thing I do want to mention before we talk about them and get into the match, that the last match in the brackets before this, Kairos versus Black Paper, Kairos 1-3-1. I just thought that it was an interesting result to mention, just because Kairos and Black Paper, while they don't have similar playstyles, they kind of have similar like social structures, and they're similarly ran teams. In the 3-1 score surprised me a little bit, just because I thought it would be slightly closer. But
right.
Either way, on to Deadbeat. So I had the team with Penget. He was one of the players that I picked up a long time ago. I know Hexen and Tim, they've been in my server, et cetera, et cetera. And Power is someone who used to team with a lot of the people that were on my team after the old team that they were all on C-. Not broke up, but kind of like shed players, I guess you could say. And yeah, so I'm a little bit scared for SRL here as well, because like we talked about, Deadbeat's obviously they're the top seed, but they also spend a lot of time scrimming Japanese players. The Japanese teams run a little bit differently than ours. They focus more on Splat Zones and a little bit of Turf War, and they don't really focus on the other two game modes. So in all these like Japanese scrims that Deadbeats does, they're practicing Splat Zones. So not only do you have to fight the team to win, the team to beat, but you also have to fight the team to beat on kind of on their like home turf, so to say.
Home turf.
Yeah, I didn't do that on purpose. But
Yeah.
but yeah, the dynamic on the team is really strong. They have a very simple and solid and almost kind of traditional team comp. A lot of teams. I guess I should mention that Splatoon has 3 basic team comps, right? When it comes to building teams, there are 3 kinds of teams that you build. The first is the more traditional slaying-based team comp. That's usually you can usually tell because you see a sniper, you see some really good, some weapons that are based on slaying, weapons that have gear that can kind of contribute towards combat potential, and usually longer range, and then some close range like slaying weapons. So it's very kill centric. It's very deliberate, control centric, more similar to like your traditional first person shooter. And then you have these hyper offense teams that have been getting more popular recently, where you drop all the long range and you focus on close range combat, and you instead of picking gear that makes yourself stronger in combat, you pick some weapons that aren't too gear dependent, and you pick gear that makes you respawn faster and get back to the map quicker. And you just kind of, it's like the Zerg rush of this game. You drill the enemy, and that team comp has a good matchup versus the slaying team comp, right? Because the slaying team comp gets its success off of getting like kills and slaying and control, and when the enemies you're fighting just kind of keep coming back after you kill them, it can make it so that like your strength isn't really a strength, and then as soon as you start to lose, you have like this huge weakness of having a bunch of close range aggressive players all in your face. And then the third type of team comp is a turf control based team comp. You'll see a lot of instead of a charger, a sniper, you'll see these splatlings, which are kind of like the heavy machine guns that just spray ink everywhere. You'll see like the dynamo rollers that paint a lot. You'll see lots of bombs and bomb rushes and stuff. So you'll see team comps that and they will run some quick respawn, and they'll usually have like a slaying weapon or two, but they focus on ink control through painting as opposed to map control through killing. And these teams do really well against the quick response stealth jump teams, that hyper offense, because they don't really rely on kills to get control. They just rely on like the state of the environment, which means that a lot of these hyper offense teams that are based on just trying to get in and get trades and get back to the map and get all these kills and kills and kills, they just get slowed down and easily punished when they jump in, because they jump into like a sea of enemy ink, and then the element of surprise gone when they're respawning quickly and stuff like that. And then these ink control teams will kind of lose to the slaying teams that we talked about in the first place, because both of those teams kind of slow the match down, and then the slaying team starts getting more kills. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing. Now, that is very oversimplified, and most teams are hybrids, and it depends on the match game type and like the matchup, that kind of stuff. And Deadbeats is kind of like the traditional, the slaying based comp, which seems kind of weird because the quick response stealth jump is getting so popular. I think that they would change styles, but no, they just do 2 main slayers, a sniper, and a support, and they just play really solid. And it works for them, and they just improve, and they don't really change. They change their style, but they don't. I guess they don't overreact to the meta.
Yeah, and thank you for that description of the different comps, because it really is important to note that in Splatoon you don't get to change your weapons mid-map. Like, it's not. That's not even a tournament thing. That is how the game is made. The weapon that you go in with is the weapon that you're stuck. So the comp that you choose to go with is huge, because you don't get to see necessarily what your opponents are doing. But let's talk a little bit about Moray Towers and Splat Zones. And Splat Zones, like you said, it's controlling a point. You have to control the point to bring the timer down. But it's huge in this mode to note that there are 2 different points, and you have to control both of them in order to bring the timer down. And in order to control both of them, you have to go into your enemy's, I guess you could say, area. So I'm really excited to see this map. This is sniper heaven. Power is absolutely licking his chops right now. It has a lot of verticality to it. It's got a lot of levels of verticality to it. There's a lot of ways to hit somebody from up high. And it'll be interesting to see. You didn't see a lot of snipers in Turf War, but I can almost guarantee that you'll see snipers in Splat Zones. And especially on this map, I would be very surprised if SRL did not run a sniper in this situation.
Right. Now, we do have all 8 players in the lobby, and I think if we can get Blake, who's running the stream, to maybe kind of bring us into that. And but we can still talk about this map. So this map, traditionally, early on in the game's lifespan, was considered to be like the sniper map. You can't play this map without a sniper. All other team comps don't work. And over time, we've kind of found that while the sniper is incredibly strong in the neutral game, let's actually do a time check real quick.
Sure.
I'm at 45, 44.
I'm at 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40. Awesome.
And are we synced up with the stream? Awesome. All right, cool. So we're all synced up. So yeah, like I was saying, so you would see these situations where early on in the game's lifespan where everybody just thought this was like sniper heaven. And while the sniper is still very, very good and sniper-based team comps are still very scary, if you decide to not go sniper and also not go like splatling, if you decide to just go a bunch of really aggressive hyper-offense shooters and just focus on pressure, what happens is if the sniper backs up too much, he just can't influence the game anymore. So you can beat out the sniper just by positioning. So once you get that flank in on him, once you make that play and the tables start to turn, you'll just see an infection of players get to the other side of the map. The sniper really can't do so much, and then all of a sudden it's a good matchup for the team without sniper. And we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, and you saw there, you talked about that hyper-offensive playstyle. We see 2 Wasabi splatter shots coming out here. For those of you unaware, the Wasabi splatter shot has the Splat bomb, which is a more aggressive bomb than a suction bomb. It explodes very quickly with a decent blast radius. And additionally, it also has the Ink Strike. And you can already see here, those 2 zones are very far apart from each other. So this is one of those maps where an Ink Strike can actually kind of turn the tide of things. We see someone going to be coming up here. No, it looks like a trade here. This area that you're seeing Tudos in right now is called Sneaky, or very commonly called Sneaky, and it allows access to this area that we call the Snipe. So it's very interesting to see the pressure that you talk about, because if there's not pressure, then the sniper can stay up here and just fire away. And what you're seeing right now, 1 zone for each team, we're probably going to see for quite a bit, because it is very hard to take both zones here as... Whoa! Okay.
Tudo's going to go hit it there and challenge he's gonna go ahead and challenge a player and get kind of snuck up on by another team. Fortunately, it was kind of a neutral situation that we were left through right there. The zone is taken for a second, but it is neutralized. 5 seconds isn't a big time to overcome. Like we said, you have to control the zone, not uncontested, but without completely losing control for a certain amount of time. And 6 seconds isn't much. So pretty much we're in a neutral situation here as SRL just tries to make sure that Deadbeat doesn't take too much control of this right side.
Yeah, and right now you're kind of seeing that situation that you talked about earlier with the longer range weapons kind of getting pushed back by this pressure. The Dynamo Roller kind of having a hard time exerting a little. How did Tudo see him?
Ooh, a teammate must have called that out as Tudos put some pressure on. He does kind of leave that player up to his teammates as he puts some pressure on Deadbeat's zone, but no, he unfortunately doesn't really manage to eat too well and spends too long trying to get into a good position. So he's going to go and punish him, punish another teammate. Now it's a 1v4 situation, which I assume the sniper is the one last alive, and like we talked about, the sniper is the one last alive, not going to be able to do much.
Right, and you saw right there the danger of jumping in without a stealth jump right there. Pengit, the Dynamo Roller, able to pick up exactly where he was going to land and swat him as soon as he landed there. So it's very difficult to get successful jumps in if you don't have stealth jump. And right now, this is exactly what you were talking about. They're just pushed back here. Tudo's going to go ahead and try to build a bubble up here for a push, but I mean,
this is the right play. This
is the right play, but I mean, the one thing about that hyper-offensive comp is if you're not careful. Okay, cleans it up. If you're not careful, your hyper-offensive weapons can get shut out too, and that's kind of what we've seen here, is they're finally able to stop the bleeding. But what do you think, what does SRL need to do right now, aside from just, I mean, of course they need to not die, but I feel like the game plan that they're going with right now just might have been the wrong call.
I mean, Tudos wasn't doing the worst thing ever. As a Zimmy main, while I do think that you should definitely be running stealth jump on here, you should probably run some bomb range. He's not running a bad build. What Tudos needs to do is he needs to play mid. He needs to play safe in mid. He needs to get bubble. And he just needs to control that area and let the Wasabis keep jumping in and getting the pressure off. He has this bubble. He should move down with the teammate to try to take out this Dynamo, but unfortunately he's going to get sniped by power.
There he is.
Going to lose that heavy depletion bubble. Not a good look. And the Wasabis just have to ink straight the eliminate zone, to be honest.
Yeah, it's 90% of this map has been played on the ramp area of SRL, and we see Tudos kind of delaying it here right now, but they have to take some mid. I know that's the common thing. That's like the nice back air of Splatoon is control mid. Of course, it's the one thing that everyone says, but I mean, it's true. In a map like that, especially with the short range comp they were running, they just had absolutely no way to get there. Pengit was set up shop down there and just kept painting the zone, and I mean, that's about as dominating a win as you're going to see outside of a 100-0 knockout.
Yeah, like I kind of said before, I think bomb range is really, really good for Zimmy. In my opinion, the best build to run as a Zink is 3 mains of bomb range, 2 mains of run speed and stealth jump. And if you're running that, what Tudos could have done is he could have put a lot of disruptive pressure on power, not only to make him vulnerable to flanks and want to pull back, but also make him so he can't fire as much. And then just get control of it. I know it's really tempting to try to stand above your base and paint the zone to stop the enemy from taking time. And while that does work, your main goal should be to control the middle of the map, which will cut off pressure to your zone. And I think that SRL at the beginning of the game they were doing well. You know what I mean? They were going back and forth for kills. Tudos was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the center of the map and we can get bubble and stuff like that. Didn't work out. There was a little bit of flub with like little ink management. Tudos couldn't paint his feet. Whatever, that could have happened again. That's not a big deal. But unfortunately, SRL really wasn't able to do that. They kind of fed Deadbeats over to the right side of the map. They didn't really get mid control. I don't know. Moray is a weird map. Sometimes, you know, there's just maps where you just don't quite do it right. SRL's really a really well versed, you know, experienced team. I don't really expect to see too many more flubs like that. It's going to be very hard to beat Deadbeats, but I do want to see them kind of, I guess, play a little bit more stable moving forward. Now, as we see these team comps, SRL is not running a sniper anymore, which typically isn't the safest thing ever on this map. However, the double splatling is definitely really strong. The bomb rush is really strong, and like pretty much every weapon on this map has a really good ability to control. And 3, arguably even 4 out of the weapons that SRL has chosen here they have killing potential and stuff. So as long as they can make sure power doesn't completely run amok with them, they should be able to make some decent pushes here.
Yeah, and this map, for those of you who haven't seen it, Mahi-Mahi, another one of those maps that was added a little bit later. 2 things to really, I guess 3 things to really note here. First off, there's one zone as opposed to two in the last map in the middle, and it's huge. The second thing is you're going to see a lot of water here. Inklings can't swim, so falling in the water is akin to falling off a map in any other shooter here. Fall in the water, and you're done. And also, the map changes as the counter runs down on this. So you'll see teams kind of attack it differently based on the way that the map is. So we'll see here. I think that SRL really needs to get out to a strong start here because it can be very difficult to take back that huge zone if you're not careful and you get shut out. And once again, if they do get shut out, Power's just going to have a field day.
Yeah, you definitely have to be deliberate in your takebacks on this map. On this map, I definitely suggest looking where you have control, trying to get middle and that side back. Don't send a flank. Flanking to get back control is not good on this map. Oh no, Tudos uses his bubble. Another member's going down. 1v3 situation right off the start. Deadbeat has control.
And this is exactly what we were saying that should not happen for them. Is we, like you said, already down here. And, you know, one of the most important things you can do in this game is create an advantage for yourself. There's a lot of blue right now, but you see here a little bit of purple. This is where SLR can kind of start to mount their counterattack. You know, trade paint here with the Zimmy, take out the sprinkler. And, you know, this isn't the worst situation for them. Is the bubble here going to come out, missing the disruptor, not able to get the kill, but this still isn't the worst situation. Okay, now 2 going down. And now we're back to where we were. But they had done a little bit for themselves, you know. Like you said, they took the side, they took back a little bit of mid, but, you know, you got to get kills, too.
Yeah, that was kind of a serious unfortunate event right there. Josh forced to use his bubble or waste his bubble or just lose his bubble a couple times in a row. Panga going to show up there with his Electrocution Kraken, going to keep that bubble from being an influence even longer. Unless his teammates get control of it, the match is going to end
nothing.
Now. Yeah,
you know,
no,
I said the last match was dominant. This one even more dominant. You saw them. I mean, they got control at the beginning. They pushed them back, and then they just never took their feet off the gas. When you have a zone like that where there's so much ink, it just gives you room to do what we call sharking. For those unfamiliar with Splatoon, when you go into ink, you're essentially invisible if you're stationary or if you're moving slow. The enemy team just can't see you at all, so you really have no idea where the thing that's going to be shooting at you is coming from next. And while you're worried about Power, you're trying to dodge his laser, then Tim pops out or Pengit pops out, and they just get that real quick, easy kill. And that's why it's so important to not get pushed back and shut out, especially on a map like that.
Another thing I do want to point out with the bubbles that ended up going down from Tudos, as a Zimmy main, of course Tudos is playing the Zimmy, it's the Zinc Mini Splatling is how we abbreviate it. When it comes to bubbles, it's use it or lose it. I don't, unless your team is completely deliberately having you safe to use a bubble for a team push, when you get your bubble, you want to use it in the next few seconds. You want to use it as you get them, because the problem with being too defensive with your team, with your bubble with Zimmy, is that you have heavy depletion. So if you die, you lose everything. And if you die, not only do you lose all your bubble, but you also lost all the pressure that you didn't put on while you were sitting there being too defensive with your bubble. And then you lose the pressure from having to come back to the map. And then if you paint to get more bubble coming back to the map, you rob yourself of bubble later, where like later on the match, maybe you make an awesome bubble play, you respawn, your entire base has a bunch of paint for you to just kind of gobble up some more bubble. It kind of makes it like you have like really a lot of special saver even though you use bubble. So when you get into these situations where you're afraid to use your bubble, you end up kind of hurt yourself more than you help yourself. So the goal there is to put yourself in situations as you get your bubble where your teammates can do something. So in that situation where we saw Tudos die, and then he used bubble, he was forced to use bubble in the center of the map, and then he never was able to get back in. What I think that he should have done was just be mindful of where his teammates were going to be, use that bubble to just put pressure on the center of the map, and kind of fall back to his teammates for the end of the bubble just to keep up pressure. Because if you sit there and be too defensive with it, and you're forced to use bubble or you die, etc., you completely waste so much time, and it's tempting to save your bubble for the perfect moment, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah, and it looks like Tudos going back to the basics here using the Octo Shot replica. For those unaware, that's the Tentatek Splatter Shot. It's just a reskin that the game gives you. But let's talk about this map. We're back to another 2-zone map, 2 bigger zones than we saw on Moray. But this map, Piranha Pit, one of the last maps added into the game, it's very interesting because of those conveyor belt ramps. It gives you access to the other team's raised areas. We're seeing Power use that. What a classic Bento Splatter Shot. I don't know. They're going to need... What's important in this map is control of these ramps. You see Tudos going to wait for the moment here to jump down. Is he going to be able to pick up the kill? Okay, he does on Pengit. Very good.
Nice kill.
And that's what we're going to need to see. We're going to see them... They're going to need to get some matchups that they like here, some 2v1s, get the kills, and then move up gradually, because just blindly approaching Power, the sniper, is just not going to be a good look. He picks up Pengit again, and all right. We're seeing a little bit better.
Oh, nice bomb kill. Okay, now this is a little bit of a big deal because we see Power using the Bento Splatter Scope, and then we see Shadow using the vanilla Splatling. So that's a Charger with a wall and a Splatling with a wall. And I think the Splatling with a wall actually has the advantage in this matchup, even though we talked about earlier that Chargers usually beat Splatlings. I don't think that's the case when it comes to vanilla heavy versus Bento. So we'll see how that goes. But SRL actually off to a pretty decent situation here. They're able to put on pressure. They would move the Deadbeat side of the map.
Oh, no.
Start dying. And, no.
Yeah, they had gone just a little bit too deep there, and it looks like they allowed the teams to spawn back in. You see this area right in front of this conveyor belt here at the start. It is very easy to set up people around that and kind of shut down people who are trying to come out. But if you pursue too far, then you get knocked back. Is Penget going to get, I think, just one? Okay, it goes down finally. But we do finally see the timer start to tick down, and Power's in a very powerful position, forget my pun here, on the left side.
No, that Inkzuka gonna go ahead and, yeah, I mean, Josh didn't really have much choice there, but they can kind of take that Inkzuka. A little bit unfortunate for him as he kind of gets spawn trapped right there. Maybe a little bit more awareness of specials, but sometimes it's kind of hard to tell. As he's gonna go ahead and self-defend, try to kill Penget here. Get the kill, maybe? Yes, another kill on Penget. I think he's like 2 for 1 killing Penget.
Yeah, he is.
Like 2 for 0 killing Penget without specials, so that's something a little bit significant when it comes to the human slayers here. But Deadbeat still has control. Penget might die, but he has the light defeat and cracking off the custom range blaster.
Oh, there's one. He gets Penget again.
Kill. Oh, okay.
Did Penget anger Tudos in one of these other maps or something? Because it gets another. Okay, Tudos, he's got to be able to get Power here. No, they're not going to be able to get him, and Tim's going to clean it up.
The wall, as we talked about, that wall gets taken down right away from all that damage going towards the wall. But for the split second was up, it was able to protect the member that Josh was shooting at, and then the double kill is able to happen against Josh's team. So like we talked about, really good wall use right there is going to make a huge difference in one-on-one. Nice kill attempt.
Yeah. You mentioned there the defense up being something that can really help you out and survive those short firefights. Tudos' defense definitely helping him get the win there over Tim, but okay, let's see what can happen now. Tim going to be able to come down again. Going to be able to take out Tim here, going down again. They've got to stay alive. They've pushed Power out of the way once, and even then Tim was able to get a double kill on them. So right now, well, first of all, they have to address the start at their doorstep. I believe that's the Dynamo and... Oh, wow. Okay, Penget finally getting a little bit of revenge here, and yeah, that's going to be 2 down, I think 3 down, and it's looking grim.
Yeah, no, this is definitely not looking too good for SRL. Josh is able to kind of get the oh wait, no, this is Josh. Tudos, I'm talking about. Tudos is able to get the flank in over here and stop the zone. Now there are 2 seconds left, so SRL needs a penalty right now.
Yeah,
they need to. Oh no, that's so unfortunate.
Yeah, Tudos made a great flank there, able to take out Power, but unfortunately by the end of that, Tudos was the only one alive, and getting the enemy zone will stop their timer, but it will not stack on a penalty, as we see an unfortunate 3-0 there. Tim going 12-5, Power going 10-1, just showing you just how much it is a team game, but like the power that one player can inflict over a match is just, it was nuts. Great stuff then, great stuff to Deadbeat. Unfortunately, an early departure for SRL, but Deadbeats is the #1 seed for a reason.
Yeah, and you know what? The SRL did demonstrate some kind of discoordinated plays and stuff like that. But I think something that's really important to remember is that something that happens to a lot of teams when they fight in the top seed is this. I don't know if you ever read David Sirlin's Playing to Win, but something called like the fear aura, where if you know that your opponent is really, really good, even if you have like really good mental fortitude in practice, in the back of your mind, it's like, I'm supposed to lose, or like you once you start losing to them, you kind of believe it, and it sounds like something that like, oh, if you have a winning attitude, you're not going to think like that. But honestly, when you fight the best player, once you're actually in the arena, sometimes it gets a little scary. So I think that what happened there was Deadbeats just got a lot of momentum against SRL. And SRL just wasn't able to reestablish their momentum to the point where they were making those bad decisions and stuff like that. But honestly, when it comes to competition, momentum is a huge thing. Confidence is a huge thing. And that's just kind of the way it goes. So Deadbeats is going to keep steamrolling through the brackets. With that one loss that they got in Turf War, it would be really funny if Deadbeats only ends up losing to like one Turf War game or something like that. Although as they move further in the brackets, they're gonna have more and more opportunities to start dropping games. But yeah, no, Deadbeat's definitely the team to win, and they were able to win that game very convincingly.